All right, let's talk about AI agents. Everybody is talking about them. But behind all that marketing hype, there's a hidden reality that's causing most of these projects to just completely fail. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and see what's really going on. And here's a spoiler: it's probably not the AI's fault.
You've seen this promise everywhere, right? It's on every website, it's in every single pitch deck. This idea of a truly autonomous AI, this digital employee that can think and act on its own. It's an incredible idea. It's the dream they're selling us.
But here's the reality check. Behind the scenes, a staggering 90% of these really ambitious AI agent projects, they fail. They fail the second they try to scale. They just crash and burn the moment they leave that perfect demo environment and hit the real world.
So what's going on here? It's really easy to blame the AI models, right? To just say, oh, they're not smart enough yet. But that's not the real story. The actual culprit is something way bigger. And for most teams, it's totally invisible. So if it's not the AI, what is the problem? The best way to understand the problem is with this metaphor: the hidden infrastructure iceberg. The part of the agent you actually see is just that tiny, polished tip. The real danger, the part that sinks the whole project, is that huge, messy, complicated mass of engineering that's lurking right below the surface. So this is the 10% that everyone sees and gets super excited about. A clean little chat box, a demo that's been perfectly scripted where the agent books a flight or schedules a meeting flawlessly. It looks perfect. It seems like it just works. But I'm telling you, this is a carefully built illusion. And let's look at just how quickly that illusion shatters. So, that perfect demo of a simple restaurant reservation, in reality, that task takes, on average, 23 separate calls to the AI model. It costs about $2.40 in compute time, and even then, it still has a 12% chance of just failing completely.
Okay, so let's dive below the surface. The first huge problem is something engineers call state management hell. See, an agent has to remember who you are, what you asked for before, what it's already done, but conversations get long, they get complicated, and this right here, this is where 60% of agent projects literally break. They just can't remember the context. And that leads us to the next disaster: error propagation cascades. Think about it like this. Imagine a simple task with just 5 steps. If each of those steps has, say, a tiny 10 or 15% chance of a small error, well, those odds compound. The chance of the entire task failing suddenly skyrockets to over 50%. It's a domino effect of failure. And finally, we get to the problem that kills the business case: the cost explosion. See, unlike regular software, the cost to run an AI agent isn't predictable. It scales weirdly, non-linearly, with how complex the user's request is. It can turn what seems like a simple chat into a massive, totally unsustainable bill. Let's see how this actually works. A user says, schedule a meeting. Okay, first the agent has to figure out what that means. Then it checks calendars. Then it finds open slots. Then it has to handle maybe a back and forth about rescheduling. Then a final confirmation. Every single step adds to the bill. That one simple request, it ends up costing almost $3. Now, this is where that scaling problem becomes absolutely fatal. That small cost per request, you multiply that by just 1,000 users making just one request a day, and it explodes into a monthly bill of almost $90,000. This is exactly how promising AI startups burn through all their cash. Okay, so that was the iceberg of doom. It's pretty bleak, but it's not hopeless. These problems are absolutely solvable, but not with a smarter AI. You solve them with smarter engineering. There is an architecture that can bring all of this chaos back under control. The solution is what's called a tiered architecture. So instead of building one super powerful, super expensive agent, you build 3. Tier 1 is your fast, cheap agent. It handles the 80% of requests that are simple. Anything more complex gets kicked up to a more powerful Tier 2 agent. And for the really critical stuff, or the tasks that fail, they get escalated to Tier 3, where a human is actually in the loop. So how much of a difference does this really make? Well, first, let's think about the cost of getting it wrong. A naive, single-agent architecture trying to handle a normal customer service workload could end up costing a business over $8.5 million a year. Now, look at the impact of that smart, tiered architecture. That annual cost just plummets from $8.64 million all the way down to just $1.23 million. That is the difference between having a viable business and just having a failed science experiment. That's an 86% reduction in annual costs. This isn't just a small tweak. It's a complete transformation of the unit economics. This is what makes an AI agent product sustainable. It's what makes it scalable. It's just pure, disciplined engineering creating massive business value. But a smart architecture isn't the whole story. It's part of a much bigger shift in mindset. To succeed, you have to stop thinking like you're building a cool AI demo, and you have to start thinking like you're building mission-critical infrastructure. And that means focusing on some key engineering disciplines. These are the 4 pillars that hold up a successful agent business. You need reliability to handle the chaos. You need cost engineering to actually make a profit. You need security to protect your users and your system from attacks. And you need performance engineering to make sure the user experience doesn't suck. You take away any one of these pillars, and the whole thing comes crashing down. So how do you actually put this into practice? How do you know if you're building a solid business or just another fragile demo that's going to break? Let's give you a real actionable takeaway that you can use to check on any AI agent project. Now, this isn't everything, but these are the absolute non-negotiables. Do you have circuit breakers in place to stop those cascading failures? Do you have real-time cost alerts so you don't get a surprise million-dollar bill? Have you actually tested it at 10 times your expected load? If you answer no to any of these, you are not ready for production. Period. And this really brings us to the final crucial question. It's the one every founder, every developer, every investor in this space has got to ask themselves. After seeing the hidden iceberg, after seeing the true costs and the engineering that's required, what are you really building? Because the answer to that is going to determine who wins the next decade of AI.